Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jim Clarke, and I'm at the Waterford Institute of Technology in Ireland. Don't let my US accent fool you. I was born and raised in the US, but I've been living in Ireland for the last 25 years. So I'm pleased to be here today to tell you about the NGIatlantic.eu project and about some opportunities for US-EU experimentation on next generation internet. NGIatlantic.eu is one of the projects within the European Commission's Next Generation Internet Initiative, which aims to shape the development and the evolution of the internet into what they call an internet of humans, or a more human-centric internet. And by this they mean an internet that responds to people's fundamental needs, such as trust, security, and inclusion, while reflecting the values and norms all citizens should be enjoying. So I'm delighted to be here with you today to talk about our project, which has been running since the 1st of January 2020. There are 3 EU partners in NGIatlantic.eu, Waterford Institute of Technology, Trust IT Services based in Italy, and Euroscom based in Germany, and 2 US partners, including Rutgers, WinLab, Yvonne and Ray, and the University of Utah. So we have representatives from, both the Cosmos project and also the Powder project. So the purpose of our project is to bridge together EU and US research teams to enable experimental projects between EU participants and US research teams. There's 5 open calls in which we more or less act as the funding agency. So we have open calls on particular topics, and then we have applicants from EU and US proposing for their experimental projects, and the project itself will fund the open calls or will fund the projects that are selected. And we have the platform that enables this sort of collaboration and the open calls. So some of our key features are that we have 5 open calls, so they're running very regularly. There's we've already held 2 open calls, and the next one will start the 1st of December, and the call remains open for 2 months. And we receive the applications through our online platform. And then we have a fairly quick turnaround time, unlike the typical European Commission systems that take 5 to 8 months. We can turn things around fairly quickly. 2.8 million euros of funding from the overall funding of 3.5 million is available specifically for the open calls. So that's 80% of our funding is actually used for the open calls. Then we also have an external advisory group with members from both the US and the EU, which help us to select our topics. We have a completely external pool of evaluators, so it's completely independent from the project itself, that evaluate the applications that are submitted. And then we have what we call a twinning lab, which enables partners to put their profiles onto our platform and enables the matchmaking for the US and the EU teams to come together. And then once even in the pre-proposal stage and during the project stage, our project has a coaching and mentoring program that we help the project's teams through the entire stage of pre-proposal right the way through to the end of their projects. So just in terms of the immediate opportunities, which I wanted to focus on today. So if your project has a desire or need to interconnect with an EU partner, this is a very good way to incentivize an EU partner or a small set of partners. We don't generally fund very large-scale projects, so it could be one and one, or 1 and 2, or 2 and 2, but that's probably the maximum to connect with you. And again, the incentivization for the EU partner would be that they can receive funding via our open calls. As I mentioned, we had 2 calls already, and our next call will run from the 1st of December until the 31st of January 2021. And so the next step to participate is to find an EU team partner or partners, and you can propose the application. The EU coordinator would be the one to propose the application through the call platform. So if you already have a partner in mind, or if you don't have a partner in mind, we can help you locate one via the Twinning Lab. If you already have a partner in mind, then you can make contact, with them, and they can just, begin the application, or you can make contact with us to discuss your call topics, and we can have one-on-one calls with you to discuss these. In terms of the topic for our third open call, we're still determining the exact topics, but one thing I just want to point out, there's typically 2 streams. The first one deals specifically with the interconnection of EU-US experimental platforms on NGI. So if you have an experimental platform such as Cosmos, or any other one, and you want to connect up with an EU-based one, maybe one of the 5G PPP projects, or Fed for Fire, or any other one, this could be an ideal opportunity in order to connect, interconnect, and get funding for the EU partner side of that. And then your platform, there would be an expectation that your platform, your interconnected platforms, could be used for future NGI projects that are funded. And then there's also the second part of the call is typically addressing the key technologies such as 5G and beyond, IoT, AI, ML, cybersecurity, big data, and others within NGI topics. And so these are, such as privacy and trust enhancing technologies, decentralized data governance, better search and discovery and identification technologies, service and data portability, strengthening internet trustworthiness with electronic identities, and then also open internet architecture renovation, and others. So what I'd like you to do is to visit the NGIatlantic.eu site for more information, and please, you can contact myself, and we'll be able to answer any queries you have or help with teaming up with some EU partners. And then you can also contact Yvonne, or Ray directly, as they're very active with us. Just one of the biggest questions that's always asked is, how are the US partners funded? So just some possibilities to consider here is, your own NSF fund itself, if you have or desire an international EU connection. As was mentioned earlier, there's the IRNC, so, projects such as Cosmic, that was mentioned earlier, and the FAB project as part of, the Fabric platform. Many of these projects actually have sort of an internationalization or globalization aspect to it. So there could be some funds there for teaming up with the EU partners. Then there was the ICE-T program, the Internet Core and Edge Technologies program, which was specifically US, EU in 2018, 2019. There might still be some of these projects still running, and they might have some funds remaining that could be used. And then also, as was mentioned earlier by Alex, the Power Supplemental Fund as well, for the active NSF-funded wireless researchers to connect and support to the 3 platforms, Cosmos, Power to Renew, and AirPaw. So there might be some possibilities there as well. And so we're continuously compiling these links in our Twinning Lab. And so the Twinning Lab is available here, and it's just a space where you can discover and connect with transatlantic actors and establish complementary partnerships. In our first 2 open calls, we've been keeping track of the connections that have happened, and how they have moved forward into actual teams, and it's been quite successful in bringing together the teams for our open calls. So with that, I'd like to finish, and we can have any questions that you might have.
So there was one question on the past 2 calls, if there was anything on the augmented reality cloud technologies. Were there any?
I don't recall offhand. We didn't, in the first 2 calls, we actually focused on the first 3 that I mentioned, which was the privacy and trust enhancing technologies, the decentralized data governance, and the better search and discovery. And the reason we did this was simply because the way the NGI initiative was set up, it was launched in late 2016, and then the first set of open calls were EU specific, so the EU-US part of it didn't start initially, and the first 3 topics were those topics that I just mentioned. So we were advised by the European Commission, why don't you focus the EU-US aspect on those 3 topics, but certainly augmented reality will be coming up in the next couple of open calls that we have, and we're going to be looking to get feedback from the U.S. side in the very short term, which we can ask your help, Yvonne, to maybe get some feedback from the Cosmos platform as to what topics you would like to see in our open calls, and we can certainly consider topics like this in our future calls.